you've been with this channel long enough, you would know that even bargain basement sci-fi usually gets my juices going. Safe to say, though, that dark matter is far from bargain basement sci-fi. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. Um, I was given a bit of a note on my last review for the first two episodes of The Big Cigar that I was talking a bit fast. Unbeknownst to me, I was suffering from tonsillitis and had a pretty severe fever and sweat. You didn't see any of this, but sweat was profusely coming down my head as I was recording, and I had to cut and clip stuff around it. So my review, I still stand by for that. But if that seems a bit out of the ordinary from what I normally produce here, my apologies. Won't happen again. I have subsequently taken a lot of drugs and I'm back on the mend. And that is why Dark Matter, I said I was going to talk about it. That is why it is a couple of days beyond what I said, just because I needed rest more than I needed to go ahead and get that out. Plus, I was already behind, so it didn't matter. If you are just joining this channel, whenever we do the first couple of episodes of a new series, I don't get into spoilers. It's a little difficult to do with Dark Matter because the very thesis of the pilot, or two episodes, which I'll call one big pilot, is a spoiler. The whole thing's a spoiler. Now, because I'm a few weeks behind, I'm going to go a little bit more into spoilers than I normally would be. So if you have no desire to get spoiled about this show and you want to go in completely blind, I would say now is the time to go ahead and step away. Because for the first time, I'm going to go into a little bit over what I would normally do in the spoiler category. So, Dark Matter is a new sci-fi series based on the book, a 2016 book of the same name, starring Joel Edgerton and forever lifetime crush Jennifer Connelly. Um, I went in blind, had not read the book. I will say, let me just say right off the bat, it sucked me in. These first two episodes floored me. I am in 100%. One of the great things about sci-fi is that it can sort of take on whatever genre. And so the thesis of this story is very, very much dramatic based, and I'll get on that in a bit. You just throw in a hint of sci-fi, and it just becomes this big sci-fi world. And I think sometimes sci-fi is at its best when at the core, it's not a sci-fi, but you throw a couple of sci-fi elements on it, and like, oh, you just open that up. This show is about a gentleman named Jason Destin, who is a physicist in Chicago, and he's living his life. He's having a great time. You can tell that his life with his family has given him sort of meaning, and that is what brings him happiness. That brings him joy. You can tell when he goes to work, however, he's not as fulfilled. People aren't listening. He has great ideas. He's showing this big physics thing that he has on the board. He has such fantastic ideas, but his class isn't paying attention. And so him pouring his heart out to his class and not getting sort of the recognition for it sort of hurts him. He has a friend, Ryan, who is excelling at physicist and based on some of Jason's ideas, but he's a homebody, and that's where he's decided, he's made his choice in life. That is where he's decided to be. I use the term choice because that is what this show basically is giving you. It is putting in front of you, what if you had the choice to go another path? So if there was a fixed point in your life, let's call that the nexus point, that you had a decision to make a choice from choice A to choice B. Will you go on this trip with this person? Will you go get married to this person? Will you, in the case of this show, your girl, Daniela, played by Jennifer Connelly, is pregnant. Do you want to have this baby with her or do you not? And the way you answer that is the way that then splits off into two alternate universes. And so what we are seeing is there's the virgin who said, yes, I want to have a family with Daniela for the rest of my life. I would rather spend days gaining memories with you than days having memories in a sterile freaking lab. And so that's his choice. And that's what we're seeing. I feel it's very important. I want to say everybody should be watching clues, looking at everything. I studied as this was going along. I do this in sci-fis anyway, but like I'm looking at people in the background. I'm looking because I know that something's amiss. So then our Jason, we'll call him Jason Prime from this point on, is abducted. He's abducted, uh, drugged with some type of material, and stripped naked. And then what we see in the end of the first episode is that the person who stripped him naked and took him is the another Jason, a Jason. We'll call him Jason 2 from this point on. Jason 2 is from the opposite timeline of alternate world where he didn't say, "I want to have a baby with you." He's like, "Nah, I'm not ready for that life. My work is most important." And you and Daniela split and became friends, and he went on to become this great master of physicist and became one of the greatest known minds of the day. So great, in fact, that he created a way to enact this box and this dark matter, this thing that he can stick. We'll learn more about that as we go along. But he learns a way to swap spots with his prime version, with the other version, to get another chance at being with Daniela. So it's essentially giving himself a second chance. Be damned of what happens to Jason Prime, who has to come back to this world, is stripped of now the ability to be with that Daniela, and now is in this world where he has no idea what's happening. And so we spend our time. He's our focal point. He's our fixed point, and so that is sort of the prime story of what these two episodes show us. Is that we have Jason Prime living his everyday life, his family life. He's chose to be a family man, stripped from his world for the Jason 2 who chose to go and seek a career. And now that career one wants the family life. More so, he just wants Daniela. I think what we're going to see as this goes along, he doesn't really give it that. He doesn't really give a damn so much about the kid. He still doesn't care about the kid. He still doesn't want the kid. He just wants his relationship back with Daniela. That's what he missed. Not gonna lie, I don't blame anybody for trying to get back to Jennifer Connelly. If you lost that, you should do whatever you can to get back to her. I get it. But it's just really well done. It may be slow and deliberate for some folks. It may be a little too deliberately paced. It's not action-packed sci-fi, but it is enough, perhaps somewhat due to the age that I'm at, where you start questioning, not even questioning, not having regrets either. It's more of like, hey, if I went left just for a little bit instead of right, what would that look like? And then you just add on the sci-fi element on top of that. It's like, well, what if I went left and I was a genius and I could find a way to get back to going right, just to see what it looked like. Maybe not to quite do what this guy did and rip the other Jason from his life, but at least just to see what it looked like, to see if I made the right choice, if I made a choice that I'm okay with living with. What if is sort of what this show gets to play with, but in a fun and interesting way. We spend time with Jason Prime teaching Daniela to, in the second episode, sort of what is happening. And that Ryan doesn't believe him because the Jason 2 became sort of a prick to everybody. The way that he handled saying, no, I don't want to be a father to Daniela, the way that he has treated Ryan, all has sort of, in this world, is very wrong. And so they don't believe a word that this guy is saying. They think he's mad. But as Daniela 2 starts to learn more and more about Prime, Jason, she gets to connect a little bit and starts wondering, well, what if? She is now living the what if piece of like, well, what if we did have a baby? Like, can you tell me more about what we are as a couple? And he goes on and sort of gives that information. It's interesting because in each world there are totems. There are things that are sort of the same. There's the bar that's at the same corner. They live in the same house. The Jasons live in the same house. It's completely furnished and done completely differently. But they live in the same house. There's a painting that's the same in both. One is just of I think it's Niagara Falls. Don't quote me on that, but it's a waterfall. The other is of them in front of that waterfall, the whole family in front of that waterfall. It just shows you that some things are going to be similar, but a lot is going to be very different. Jason 2 is married to a completely different woman, has started this thing called Velocity, which is this unit that's hunting Jason Prime because They don't know that it's the other Jason, but they do know that, hey, something's amiss and we need to get to the bottom of it. They're just trying to clean it up. Um, I'm very fascinated to see where this goes because the way that episode 2 ends definitely puts an impetus on Jason Prime to get back to his world because things are nowhere near retrievable in this new alternate world. And hey, you got one Jason Prime, and how many other versions of these do we have? Is there a third option? Um, who knows? I love playing in this little sandbox, and I am. You got me. Apple, you Apple is hands down my favorite streaming network, and I just wish more people paid attention to Apple because they've got the stuff that I like talking about. But those are the first 2 episodes of Dark Matter. I definitely will be reading the book once I finish the series. I don't want to mess up anything for me, but yeah, I'm in. I'm in. I'm invested. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments on the first 2 episodes of Dark Matter in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast for the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.